Welcome to Ask Shannon, a place for grace, where one mother's passion and determination for her child, diagnosed with a rare disease, was suddenly faced with saving the life of her special needs child. This became her only focus. When the life of her child was threatened, Shannon Kinnett's instincts led her away from conventional medicine. She desperately found an alternative, natural approach, and the outcome was astounding. Shannon shares her knowledge and Grace's story, now full of hope and happiness.
And now, Shannon Kinnett's.
A question that I get asked frequently because of Grace's story is hyperbarics with seizures. Does it help? Does it make it worse? Can you do hyperbarics when you have underlying seizure disorders? Yes, in my opinion, that you can. Grace had seizures. We were on 4 different seizure medications such as phenobarbital, depakine, gabatrol, and the seizure medicine, as you know, can really have a lot of side effects on our kids, especially when we're trying to get them to be more motivated, we're trying to get them to have more energy. Seizure medicine tends to sedate our children. And that was one of the things that I really wanted Grace to get off of, but was basically told she would never get off of seizure medicine because not only did she have seizures, but she had infantile spasms to the brain. And so one of my goals with hyperbarics was to get Grace off of that medication so that she would become more alert and more aware. And we were able to do that with hyperbaric therapy. We see adults that have epilepsy and other underlying seizure disorders that are able to do hyperbarics, and they do it safely. That doesn't increase their seizures. They're able to get off a lot of their seizure medicines. Now, the biggest thing I would want to say to parents out there when you're watching this, then your kids have seizures, by no means do you take things into your own hands. You don't just remove any person that's on seizure medication. You don't remove it. You work with a physician to taper it, to lower it. And that's why it's important to find those physicians that I talked about a couple weeks back about the Medical Academy of Pediatrics and Special Needs. They also will sometimes consult with adults. So if you're an adult listening to this and you see that you have seizures, and you can also reach out to that organization. It's medmaps.org. But you definitely want to work with a physician. I'm just giving you my personal advice as a parent that it helped with Grace's seizures. And I've seen it across the board. A lot of you know one of my good friends, Jenny McCarthy, and you know that her son Evan, he had seizures. But when Jenny was really reluctant to do hyperbarics, it was because her physicians were telling her basically probably not to do it because of his seizures. So she actually got into hyperbarics more because of Evan's eyesight issues. And when she started doing hyperbarics, his seizures started to get better and he started to not have seizures. And so those are the types of stories that you'll hear over and over again. You hear about stroke patients that end up with underlying seizure disorders that go through rounds of hyperbarics and they're able to stabilize that, get off the medicine. Because the one thing that I do know about seizure medicine, because not only of my experience with Grace, but with just people across the country that have written into me, is that it does make you lethargic. It makes you not coherent. And so they tell you not to drive. Well, you know, when you're already having a disability such as a seizure disorder, and now you're taking away something that somebody has by not allowing them to drive, it's really heartbreaking for them. And so I kind of look at hyperbarics as one of those tools that you can use so that you can get dignity back to people. I know that when I no longer had to have Grace's pump where we would administer the seizure medicine into, it was much more easy to take her to a park, not only physically, but emotionally, because it was hard, you know, taking Grace to places where people could see that she was disabled because of all the apparatus that we had with us and so forth. So I think that hyperbarics definitely is warranted with seizures. I think that you definitely need to have a physician that's guiding you through the process. Is it safe? Grace got off of all of her seizure medicines. Her last 4 EEGs have been completely normal. Seizures are something that, of course, are always in the back of my mind with Grace, but I don't live it on a daily basis. I no longer give her those medications, and I just live with her as a normal kid. And so I think that you shouldn't be afraid to try hyperbarics. Just because your child or your loved one has an underlying seizure disorder, I think you should seek out a physician that knows about hyperbarics and seizures. If you can't find one, contact me at shannonandgrace.com. I will get you into the right direction, get you hooked up with a physician that is knowledgeable about hyperbarics and seizures, and we can get you on your way so that your loved one can get better, get off that medication, and just start living their life. The one thing about hyperbaric therapy in helping reduce seizures, if not getting rid of seizures, because we're getting the oxygen dissolved into those cells, is that seizures affect people of all ages. And sometimes people don't realize that not only can you get them like my daughter Grace did as an infant, but you can get them because you have a concussion. You see high school students that are playing football or rugby, they get into a serious injury on the field and all of a sudden they are diagnosed with epilepsy. You have elderly patients that get diagnosed with seizures later in life. And the one thing about seizures is that the minute that doctor writes epilepsy on your chart, it takes away your driver's license most of the time. And I think what's important for people to know is that you don't have to live your life that way, that there are things out there that can help you and help get rid of those seizures, get you on your way so that you can go back to living your life. Again, I can't stress enough that you need to work with a physician that knows about hyperbarics and seizure disorders, but it should not be something that you're discouraged away from. If you have a loved one with a seizure disorder, underlying seizure disorder, you should still look into hyperbarics because it's helping millions of people that are living with seizures. Everyone from infants to geriatrics can be affected by seizures. So know that there is hope and there is help. You can contact me at shannonandgrace.com and I can direct you in the direction of a physician that is knowledgeable about hyperbarics and seizure disorders, and we can get you on your way to living your life.
Please share this information with anyone who is facing special needs or health concerns at any age. Shannon's goal is to help as many people and parents as possible. If she can save you any heartache sharing the knowledge of what she has learned, that saved her daughter's life and possibly save you tens to even hundreds of thousands of dollars in resources that she spent, her goal is accomplished. Please visit shannonandgrace.com for continued updates and free resources. Send her an email with your questions. Subscribe to her YouTube channel. She is here to help you and will do all she can to assist.